Hi, my name is Juanita Khumalo and I am a health and wellness entrepreneur. I'm the founder of a company called Trove Wellness, which is dedicated to the empowerment of women. I am an award winner. I am a digital entrepreneur, holistic wellness advocate, ambassador for Brand South Africa, and I'm currently studying to be a wellness coach as well as nutritionist. Today's topic, I want to share with you tips, tools, and trades, secrets on how to build your own personal brand and how to become a successful digital entrepreneur, i.e. influencer. I'll be sharing with you a couple of topics which I believe are so critical and so essential, and they will definitely set you up towards you becoming a successful influencer. Let's start with the absolute first one. The very first point which I always emphasize on, you need to know who you are and more importantly, what your values are, what your principles are, and what your interests are and what your hobbies are. Self-awareness is extremely critical in this because it is through that you're going to build your brand on. And I bet you, and I'm telling you right now, when you are not sure about what it is you want to do, when you choose, for example, to become a content creator in a topic or in a category which is not a strength of yours or which is not something which you love and enjoy, you will ultimately hate it. It's like any other job. If you don't love it, you will not be sustainable at it, you will not be consistent at it, and it'll frustrate you so much that you'll end up quitting. So it's super important. Figure out who you are first, what your DNA is, and also that helps you to kind of like stay on course and to not deviate, and of course engage things which are very, very inconsistent with your ethos, with your values, with your interests, and with your hobbies. And the second thing I always say, which is very important, establish what you want to be known for. There is so much power in focused content, and you need to decide, are you going to be a lifestyle content creator, or do you want to be known for beauty? Do you want to be known for fitness? Do you want to be known as that tech girl? Do you want to be known as a motor or car reviewer, influencer, and thought leader? Ultimately, FYI, you can become an influencer or a thought leader in any actual category, in any topic. I know the go-to ones are easy, your beauty, your lifestyle, your fashion, but I pinky promise you, there are so many categories and there are so many other, avenues which are so untapped, and there's a lot of room there for actual growth and for someone to actually dominate and grow in it. So, like I said, power in focused content. Once you establish what it is you want to be known for, that'll help you in terms of like building that niche or that identity for you. For me, I chose health and wellness, and I didn't actually choose it. It chose me. And I always say that before you say you want to become an influencer, you need to first establish what you're passionate about and what you love. For me, health and wellness found me on my journey, and it completely transformed my life. It completely transformed who I am, and it helped me to become a better woman and to be a woman that is closer to walking in her power and embracing it. And because of what it did for me, I decided that, you know what? I want the same for more women. I want women to walk around strong, confident, fit, and just really with that self-esteem and confidence to literally tackle anything. Because once you are okay mentally, physically, and emotionally, best believe there's very little that you absolutely cannot do, and it'll bring out the absolute best in you. So that's how, for me, it found me. I didn't choose and wake up one day and be like, hey, I want to be a fitness influencer or a wellness coach. It was through my journey that I stumbled across it, and what it did for me and the value it brought into my life, that I decided that I want to do the same and offer the same resources and tools to women to pursue their specific wellness journey. So it's important. Know what you want to be known for, and more importantly, don't search for it outside. It starts from within. It starts from within your heart. What you want to be known for comes from who you are, what your passions are, and what your interests are. You see how point number one ties into point number two. Bingo. And also, another reason why it's important for you to ascertain what you want to be known for is mainly because whatever your brand is or what you're known for will attract a certain type of audience. And you know, for example, what type of audience you're trying to attract, especially when you are working with brands or you want to position yourself as a content creator and to align yourself with certain brands. They will look at your profile. And if a brand manager or an agency looks at your profile and they're very confused as to what you do, one minute you seem to be dabbling in hair, next minute you seem to be dabbling in fitness, next minute you seem to be dabbling in fashion, the next minute you seem to be dabbling in skincare, and then you're dabbling in makeup, and you're dabbling in motor cars, and you're dabbling into tech, and you're dabbling into, it's very confusing, and that'll literally minimize your probability of being selected or being aligned with working with certain brands, because they're going to be so confused. So remember, we're all busy, and in this day and age, there's so much, many of these things are very saturated. And Instagram, there's a lot of users, there's a lot of people trying to position themselves as influencers and content creators. And if your work doesn't scream out, and if your work doesn't say who and what you are and what you are specializing in, you're going to be setting yourself on a back foot. So it's important. Make sure you know who you want to be known for and your content completely aligns with that. Another point which is very, very important, always make sure, well, authenticity is super, super important. I always say that your social media platforms are not there for you to recreate who you are. They are merely an extension of who you are in your day-to-day life. What you do every single day, your habits, your patterns, your regime, how you spend your day, and what your beliefs are, what your principles are. Those are who you are. And your social media platforms are merely an extension of that. It is an opportunity for you to share who you are in your core at home and to share those interests and those values with people on a different platform. So don't ever try and reinvent yourself, or in the sense that make social media completely different to who you are in your real life. Authenticity is very important. And like I said, when you are not authentic and when you're not truly loving something, when it's not your passion or that thing that drives you to wake up every single morning, you will quit at it very easily. Because trust me, being a content creator or any job, it's not easy. And those days when you don't feel like working or you're frustrated by certain things, the love, the passion, it is what will steer you and make you keep on going and keep on waking up every single day. It'll give you that stamina and that perseverance to push through. So it's very important to remember, not an opportunity to reinvent, but merely an extension of who you are. And that goes for your Instagram, that goes for your Twitter, that goes for your YouTube, that goes for your podcast, any of these elements. That's what they are meant to be. Extension of who you are, and amplify who you are so that people can get to know you better and so that you can touch more lives. The next point, which is incredibly critical, is you establishing your USP. USP stands for unique selling proposition. What separates you from everybody else? That is basically what it means. Currently, the market is so saturated. I mean, if you go around, if you take a trip down the mall or down the road, you probably pass by 5 garages. If you go into a mall, there are probably 5 beauty bars at an actual mall. There's so many retailers that are out there. There is basically a concentration of everything. Even if you were to go into a store and look at the shelf, how many brands are there that cater to the exact same product? So you need to understand what sets you apart and what makes you different. And you need to carve that out for yourself, and it's super important. One of the ways which are always, what I recommend a lot of times is to do a competitor analysis and do a local one and also do a global one. A lot of times it's very important for you to see the industry, analyze it, do your research, see who the key players are, who the industry leaders are, and basically identify yourself as, if you were to look at the entire spectrum, what sets you apart, or what can you bring to the table that's going to be different? Or how are you going to package yourself to make yourself seem different. You know, I look up to so many international and global personal trainers, fitness influencers, and that's where I gather a lot of my, motivation, a lot of my inspiration. But it's very important to not see what someone else is doing and copy and paste exactly what they're doing. So establish what sets you apart. Is it your personality? Is it your knowledge? Is it your talking ability? Is it your flexibility? Is it your, I don't know, whatever it is. Figure out what's going to separate you from everybody else, and then that will help you in terms of putting together a successful brand. The next step that you need to look at is to leveraging of social media. Guys, 10 years ago, the influencer market or influencer marketing was not that prevalent or as big as it is right now. What has catapulted the growth of it is, of course, social media. Platforms such as your Instagram, platforms such as your Twitter, podcasting, they have amplified this particular category, and it's literally bloomed and literally just grew astronomically. So you need to leverage off your social media platforms. As it stands right now, one of the many ways in which I make my income, it is through being a digital entrepreneur, and that is being an influencer. That is currently how I've managed to turn my passion into a job that pays me. That is literally only through social media. How crazy is it? And there's so many other people that I know that have left their full-time jobs to become, content creators and influencers. And that is really what sustains their life, and that is their career. You can use social media to make a career out of your hobby, out of your passion. Leverage off it. Establish those social media platforms and grow and build them. The other thing that I always say is super important, especially when you're trying to grow your social media platform and be known for something, is to establish who your audience is and who do you want to talk to. When I started, I told myself that I know what wellness did for me, and as a woman, and I want to do the same for women, like-minded women like me. Women that are, trying to become the better versions of themselves. So I told myself that, that is the audience I want to attract, because that's the audience I want to focus on. And when I look at my demographic split at the present moment, 78% of my audience is women, and the rest, it's men. So I've successfully managed to make sure that the audience that I want to speak to is the audience that I've attracted through the kind of content which I've put out. And in fact, about 60% of that 78% is women between the ages of 25 to 35, which is the age gap which I'm within right now. And once you've established your audience, it's very important because that also determines, number one, the kind of brands that you'll work with and the kind of partnerships that you will work with. And also that determines the kind of audience and the kind of content that you put out. It's all about content. So I was very sure and very intentional on putting out tools, resources, content, and valuable content which speaks to that particular audience, which speaks to that woman I want to talk to. Articles on nutrition, articles on fitness, articles on just general well-being, articles on mental well-being, my podcast on mental well-being. I host the live sessions every now and again, unpacking all these different topics within the holistic wellness space. And that is, anything that talks to emotional well-being, mental well-being, spiritual well-being, physical well-being. And because of the content I put out, that is the audience which I attracted. So very, very important, guys. Like I said, your audience matters a whole lot, especially when you want to build with brands. Let me make it a lot more simpler for you to understand. Let's say hypothetically that my audience was predominantly men. 78% of it was men. And there's a brand partnership, let's just say Sta Sof Fro, approaches me to want to work on a hair care campaign, And when they look at the analytics, they realize that no, Juanita's audience is predominantly men. So they are not trying to speak to that audience because that's not what the products are intended for and to. You get what I'm saying? So why would they want to partner with me? So that is very important, So your audience will determine the kind of brand partnerships you have, the kind of partners that you attract, and the kind of collaborations that you will have. So be very mindful of the kind of content that you put out there, because what you put out there will attract that. The next point which I want to say is empower yourself through research. Do a lot of research on the industry and experts, and follow industry experts. About 3 to 4 times a year, I do my research on what the upcoming trends are within health and wellness, within the fitness space, within the mental health space. I do spend a considerable time of my time doing a lot of research. And like I mentioned, there are thought leaders and experts who I follow within my industry to gain inspiration from, to stay abreast with what's happening, current news, current affairs, where trends are going. It's super, super important, because that'll also help you in terms of cultivating your kind of content. The next point I want to talk to is, do not be shy to approach brands. I know it sounds unconventional, but let me tell you this, especially when you're building up and you're trying to grow. The influencer space is saturated. Like I mentioned, most industries are. And if you think about it, there's so much clutter. And especially now with social media, we're all trying to create our content, make it look a certain way, and appeal to brands. But when you are looking at it from the outside, it can be just so much that you don't even know where to begin, who to choose, because they're so saturated and a lot of people are creating the same kind of content, which makes it even harder, and much harder for brands to be able to discern who this person is, etc. Hence why I said again, USP. Figure out what makes you special and unique. So approach the brands. So what I did when I started out, and that, by the way, is to make sure that they know who you are. And like I said, they're very busy, it's very saturated. And a lot of times you need to see how you can reach them in a way that separates you from everybody else. So do not be afraid to approach them. Send them a proposal, do an elevator pitch proposal. And one of the ways in which I found some brand managers or people that work on this particular brands, I went on LinkedIn. Utilize your resources. Go on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional networking platform. Search there, brand manager Sta Sof Fro. See what comes up. I'm telling you right now, almost every corporate or every professional has a LinkedIn account. And you will find them, DM them, send them a message, say, hi, my name is Juanita Khumalo, and I would like to work with Sta Sof Fro, and I'd like to send you guys a proposition. And this is my, and kindly please forward me your email ID in order for me to expand into more detail regarding this proposal, which I want to send you. And I'm telling you right now, they will most likely send it to you. So I used to do that. I used to send a couple of brands out, find them on LinkedIn, and then send them a message, just letting them know what my intent is and requesting for the email ID, and therefore sending them the proposals. It does not mean that you will necessarily score that campaign immediately, but you will be top of mind to the particular brand manager. They'll forward it to the relevant people that are responsible for campaigns. And should anything pop up, they would know about you. They'll have your rates, they'll have your audience, they'll have everything they need to know about you, and that makes it so much more easier. It helps in order for you to be kept top of mind when it comes to decision making or when any other campaign arises. More importantly though, when you are approaching a brand, it's very important for you to make sure that there is synergy between you and the brand. Alignment is very, very critical and very important. If you look at a specific brand, does it speak to who you are? Does it speak to your values? Does it speak to your principles? Do you really love the brand? Do you really love and enjoy using the product? Are you an avid user of the actual product? It needs to be part of your day-to-day or part of who you are or part of your life. And that's what I always say. A lot of times we tend to not align very well with the particular brands, which is why often you won't have the collaboration. And another issue with that is that you stand to lose the credibility from your audience as well. Remember that your audience look at you as a thought leader and they believe and trust in what you're saying. And that takes time and resources and concerted effort to build. You don't want to diminish that or throw that away by partnering with the wrong partners, where your audience will know that, you know what, that is just a paycheck or that is just a bag and that's it. So you may need to be very, very, very sure that you choose the right brand partners that add value to your audience, that add value to your brand, that aligns and synergizes with who and what you are. Once again, like I said, carelessness like that tends to take away from you and dilutes your brand. And also, you don't want to be seen as someone that's just jumping onto absolutely everything and anything for the sake of it. Once again, you will lose that authority or that respect which your audience has. And at the end of the day, the partnerships which you establish with the brands, the main importance and the important thing is for you, they're trying to talk to your audience. They're trying to talk to your tribe, you know. So if your tribe loses respect for you or doesn't believe in your authenticity or doesn't hold your word as valuable anymore, then you are absolutely going to lose that. Then the campaigns are not going to be effective because the audience they're trying to speak to, they do not, respect you anymore, or they don't respect your word anymore, or they don't take your word for, as truth anymore because of that. Super, super critical to make sure that you don't just jump onto any partnership that comes along. I know saying hard sometimes must be difficult, but I always say that something better and something more aligned and something that will be more organic will always come up. And the short term, foregoing that short term little, campaign or project, it's going to be more helpful for you in the long term. And yeah, so that is super important. Like I said, allow synergy with the relevant brands and make sure that your values, your principles, and what the brand stands for is very much aligned to who you are. And that is ultimately how you can build successful brand partnerships with, the relevant brands or have successful campaigns. The last 2 points, which will basically summarize how you can carve out your personal brand and how you can set yourself up to become a successful digital entrepreneur and working with brands. Network, and network. There is so much value in networking, and it's so important for you to be able to do that. You need to make sure that you are not just networking online by finding out, certain, individuals, thought leaders, social media platforms, engage with them on the social media platforms. Follow them, even in person. Make sure that you put yourself out there. When you go to an event, when you're invited to an event, utilize those times or that period of your life to basically network with people. Make sure that you always have your business card ready with you to be able to share it with certain people. Move around from table to table. When there's a tea break, move around. Also, try and research in advance. For example, if it's a speaker event, who the speakers are, and if any one of them are aligned or in a category or industry that you want to work in. And when you do that, make sure that you have intent, you plan. Let's just say, for example, that the brand manager for Sta Sof Fro at the event. You want to make sure that, oh snap, this is what I want from the brand, or this is how I want to work with the brand. Who is this person? Make sure that when you meet them, you understand that you only have that amount of limited time and you want to catch their attention and make sure that you get what you need to get out of it. Networking is super critical, and even network with your industry peers. You never know. Collaborate with them. Cross-pollinate across your guys' audiences. We're always stronger in numbers, and we're always stronger in working together. So don't take that for granted, and even if you don't have anything planned right now, network, take that business card, pop that message following through afterwards. You will never know at what point in time you will need to talk to the relevant people. And the important thing, and the very last thing about networking, is that you need to prepare an elevator pitch. An elevator pitch is about 30 to 60 seconds long. It should not be more than that. And your elevator pitch will basically define who you are, what you do, what it is you want, and you close it off with the CTA. A CTA is a call to action. So you need to always understand that most of these people are very busy, and especially at events, you know, even on the DM, even on your LinkedIn when you're trying to DM someone, remember that we are very, very busy and there's so much content online, there's so much scrolling down that happens. There is no time oftentimes to send someone an extremely a 10-page essay on LinkedIn or, you know, on social media, no. And oftentimes even on email. So make sure that you keep it sweet, short and concise. And especially in person, remember, we're all trying to speak to this person. So they are being pulled in this direction, that direction, this direction. Be creative. And like I said, elevator pitch, 30 to 60 seconds long, which tells who you are, what you do, what you want, and of course with the call to action thereafter, which is usually an exchange of contact details, which will lead to, you know, further expansion of what it is you're trying to do. So this brings us to the very end of the points which I mentioned, which I think you will be, which I hope you found very, very helpful in terms of helping you to become a successful content creator, to define your audience, to define your brand, your personal brand. And I want to let you know that if you've never ever thought of yourself as a brand, I'm letting you know now, whether you like it or not, you are a brand. When someone meets you, when someone sees you, your brand is not only what you think or what you speak about, it's also how you look. So be careful attention in terms of how you look. Are you well groomed? How's your hair looking? Are you dressed appropriately for the right audience, for the right market? So this, I mean, all these things do matter and do count. And of course, how well you speak, how eloquently you speak, and you know, you need to be able to catch people off just like that and engage their audience or engage them and catch their audience, their attention, just like that. Remember, you are a walking brand, and when you speak to someone, when you email someone, when you call someone, and they see you in person, there is a brand that they are looking at, and that is very, very important to make sure that your brand aligns and resonates with what you are trying to be and where you are trying to go. So that's it. I hope you guys found the couple of points which I mentioned very, very successful. And for more information, please do not hesitate to contact me. You can find me on social media. My Instagram handle is Juanita Khumalo with an H. On Twitter, it is Juanita_Khumalo. Or of course, you can reach out to me on email, which is info@juanitakhumalo.com. That's it, and have a wonderful day further. Mwah.